Good evening. My name is Dr. Catherine Coronia, and I am the Designated Institutional Officer and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs and Chief Academic Officer for Catholic Health Services of Long Island. Welcome to our 26th graduation ceremony. Certainly a very different celebration than what we would have anticipated coming into this academic year, and certainly different than we could have ever imagined when you joined us for orientation at the beginning of your training here at Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center. However, nonetheless, just as monumental an achievement and one that we would like to celebrate and acknowledge for each of you and your families. Our program will begin with a few words from our local and system leadership, but first we will begin with a prayer from the Most Reverend Bishop John Barris from the Diocese of Rockville Center.
I'd like to congratulate our Catholic Health Services medical education graduates and your families. I am so grateful for the sacrifices you have made to serve Jesus Christ and the mission of mercy of our Holy Catholic Church expressed in Catholic health care. I'm also so grateful, too, for the way you've embraced the power and mystery of the cross of Jesus Christ in these COVID-19 times of trauma and death. I'm so very grateful to you, and now I pray for you. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we ask your blessings upon your Catholic Health Services, medical education graduates, their families, and all their colleagues. We ask that the Holy Spirit may lead you and guide you. May the tongues of flame give you great strength and fortitude, give you great conviction in your vocation to serve the Church and all of humanity. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you all.
Thank you, Bishop Barris, for the beautiful blessing. Today, you take a big step in accepting power known only to an elite group. With your white coat and your diplomas, NPI numbers, medical licenses, DEA numbers, stethoscope, and knowledge acquired over the last 2 to 4 years, you enter today a life of new and vast privilege. You may not have noticed your power or have recognized it over the last few years, and you may not have felt powerful or privileged. Certainly not when you were filling out endless billing forms and swallowing crazy rules and requirements, struggling through hard days of too many tasks. But know this, in return for your years of learning and your dedication to a life of service and your willingness to take an oath to that duty, society will give you access and rights that it gives to no one else. Society will allow you to hear secrets from frightened human beings that are too scared to tell anyone else. Society permits you to use drugs and instruments that can do great harm as well as great good, and that in the hands of others would be weapons. Society will give you special titles and space of privilege. Society will let you build walls and write rules. Throughout your lives, you as physicians will meet people and families at their happiest moments and at their saddest. You will meet them every day, every hour. They will be in disguise. They will be in disguise as a new mother afraid to touch her preemie on the ventilator, as the construction worker too embarrassed to admit that he didn't hear a word you just said after "it might be cancer," as the alcoholic bottoming out who was the handsome champion of his soccer team and dreamed of being an architect someday, or perhaps disguised the child over whom you tower, or the 90-year-old grandmother over whom you tower, disguised as the man who would prefer to know and he who prefers not to know, or disguised as the man who wants you to call him Bill and the man who prefers to be called Mr. Smith. The rules of medicine are not in the hands of the nameless power, not the people who make the rules, the policies, the governmental officials, the accrediting bodies. It is in your hands. What is at stake here may seem a small thing in the face of the enormous healthcare world that you have just joined, the ever-changing healthcare systems. The cost may seem like a nickel to the $2.6 trillion industry, but is what really matters. It is all that matters. It is the person, the individual, the patient, the poet, the writer, the adventurer, the frightened soul, the wandering mind, the learned mind, the husband, the wife, the son, the daughter. That is who matters in the moment. And in the moment, it is all about choice. You have a magical opportunity. You have the opportunity to decide. You make the choice. You can read the rule book, and someday even write the rule book. Decide. Yes, you can hide behind protocols and policies. Yes, you can say we when you mean I. Yes, you can lock the door. Say, sorry, your 30 minutes are up. You decide, because you can also unlock that door. You can ask, shall I call you Bill or Mr. Smith? Would you like to be alone with your family now? Is there something else that I can do for you? Decide. You can read the rules, the book on how to complete a full history in physical, perform the complex surgical intervention, treat the 60-year-old construction worker with back pain, resuscitate the infant brought in cold and blue, or how to treat the alcoholic with DTs. Or you could say, pardon me. Pardon this unwelcome interruption in your lives. Thank you for inviting me to help. Thank you for trusting me to be a part of your life. Now, what else can I do for you? Be the ongoing change that the medical community needs. It is not all about medications, surgical techniques, and the latest and greatest in tools of the trade. It is the human interaction and the dignity that each of you can bestow upon those who seek your help. This is what individuals, families, patients remember, and we all play a part. We are so proud of the physicians you have all become. Maintain the humanistic qualities that brought you into medicine to begin with. Only you can decide. It is your choice. You are our future, healthcare's future. What I have witnessed in each and every one of you throughout your training, and most recently through the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020, affirms that healthcare is in good hands, with you at the helm. Actually in great hands, and you should all be very proud of what you have accomplished, the care that you provided and the sensitivity and compassion that you exhibited. You have all acted incredibly as skilled physicians, professionals, and individuals. Good Samaritan Hospital thanks you. Congratulations to each of you, and God bless you and your families always. Now it is my honor to introduce Dr. Alan Gersey, President and CEO of Catholic Health Services of Long Island.
Thank you, Kathy. I want to congratulate all of you for what you've accomplished in recent years. I know how hard you've worked. I haven't forgotten my own residency. And you should all be very proud of what you've accomplished. If you're married, I want to thank your families for their forbearance in putting up with your work schedule. I want to make two comments today. The first is that I hope your completion of residency marks the beginning of a lifetime of learning. In the 1960s, the dean of the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine used to address the incoming first-year medical students with the following statement: half of what we teach you over the next 4 years will be proven wrong in the course of your careers. Now, it's not quite that bad anymore, but it's still probably 10 or 20%, not to mention all the unimaginable things that you will learn in the course of your careers that are not known today. So please read your journals, attend rounds, go to professional meetings. Not only are these things intellectually stimulating, these will ensure that you are able to provide high quality care. And last but not least, a very wise person once said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So please keep that in mind. Thank you for your service to Good Samaritan Hospital. I wish you the best of luck in your careers. And now let me introduce Ruth Hennessy, the President and Chief Administrative Officer of Good Samaritan Hospital.
Thank you, Dr. Gersey. I would like to wish a special congratulations to our 2020 graduates from all of us here at Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center. Like many people across the country, these last several months have been unlike anything any of us have ever experienced. But unlike many others your age, you didn't spend that time home from school or working remotely. You were here, right in the midst of the greatest health crisis of our generation. Simply calling you essential would be an understatement of what you've accomplished. And you didn't just live through it, you rose to the occasion. When there was need, you answered the call with a resounding response. Regardless of your areas of expertise and years of experience, you were there for us when we needed you the most. And for that, I will forever be grateful to this graduating class. I'm sure there are things that you have seen and experienced over the past several months that will stick with you for the rest of your careers. However, in that same vein, I hope that every time you hear "Here Comes the Sun" or any Beatles song for that matter, that you can take a moment and be proud of the fact that you were part of the team that helped to treat and discharge more than 1,200 COVID patients. So now, as you prepare for a new stage in your career and a new set of challenges, take comfort in knowing that you can do anything. You've already battled and survived a global pandemic, but there will be times when you're not sure if you can take on the world. And on those days, I would ask that you think back and remember all of your friends and family here at Good Sam, because we will never forget you and what you've done for our medical center. Thank you and good luck. Now I'm pleased to introduce Catholic Health Services Executive Vice President and Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Patrick O'Shaughnessy.
Thank you, Ruth, and thank you for this incredible opportunity to be part of this magnificent event, and congratulations to the Good Samaritan graduating class of 2020. While the events of COVID-19 have us socially distanced, it remains so important to take time to recognize and celebrate your collective tremendous set of achievements. First and foremost, special thanks to your loved ones who supported you throughout your residency to get you all to this point. I know I would not be where I am today as well if it were not for the sacrifices and support my family provided to me. And what a wonderful program you were all blessed to be accepted into here at Good Samaritan. Let's take a moment to thank your Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Kathy Caronia, and all the incredible faculty and clinical staff that educated and supported you all during your residency training. Now, colleagues, and I can call you colleagues, I would not come to such an event as this without a gift. No, I did not bring a check and a card, but I do have something to offer all of you that I will hope you will value, and that is advice. Now, I'm not Tony Roberts, but I feel I can offer you some pointers that can help you along on your careers. First, some clinical advice, and likely even more important following that is advice about life in general. You see, it feels like yesterday I was sitting where you are, and this year marks my 18th year since graduating emergency medicine residency training. Yes, it goes that fast. So let me share some pearls in the hope that some of this sticks in those beautiful minds upon leaving Good Samaritan and starting your careers. Number one, embrace team-based care. Dr. Atul Gawande, a national leader in quality and safety and writer, wrote a famous article in the New Yorker a few years back regarding the need for more team-based care. We need less cowgirls and cowboys and more pit crews. More team-based care. Less of me and more of we. So I challenge you all, watch an Indy pit crew, watch aircraft carrier flight deck operations, watch a well-organized code being run in an ED. When performed correctly in this fashion, it is seamless, effective, almost musical, like a symphony. You will serve your future patients well if you work in collaborative teams, each person bringing some degree of expertise to the table, but the synergy and overall output of the team is nonlinear and magnified beyond any one person's capabilities. Number 2, embrace the humanity of your profession. Never lose sight of what it is you all are doing. That patient is not just an interesting case. You're caring for someone's grandpa, wife, aunt, son. I will stress for you all, healthcare is called healthcare for a reason. Many times in your careers, you may question what you're doing. For me as an ER physician, I used to always ask, is this really an emergency? Does this patient really need to see me right now? Remember, you're treating a human being, the human condition, the human person, the whole being. Don't lose sight of that. Many times you may be that last person of hope, and they are there seeking your help. Let me share a brief story about what I really learned in emergency medicine residency training. Always look beyond the chief complaint. Number 3, second-guessing your chosen profession. Let me reassure you all that you have invested wisely in pursuing a career in medicine, and especially for choosing to train with us here at Good Samaritan. Population and population growth has grown tremendously over the past decade, and certainly over the past 100 years. 83 million growth annually at a rate of 1.1%. Global population has grown from 1 billion in 1800 to 7.6 billion in 2018. And predictive models say we're going to surpass 11.2 billion by this year, 2020. Population growth rate continues to increase between 23 and 25%. And newly and growing aged people with chronic diseases continue to grow as well. 39 million people were 65 years or older. And by 2030, there'll be 72 million seniors, amounting to nearly 20% of the population. And guess what? They will all need healthcare services, services that you will provide as physicians. To maintain current levels of care, which are largely not ideal, as we all know, primary care levels must increase by over 60%. Healthy Planet 2020 predicts over a 50,000 shortage of PCPs by this year, 2020. What's my point? Despite what you're all reading about with the challenges of the U.S. healthcare field, you all chose wisely and have chosen career paths that will be gratifying, fulfilling, and needed for many, many years to come. Remember the quote, "If it were easy, everyone would be a doctor." This is the best job in the world, despite everything, because of everything. Last piece of clinical advice. Healthcare operates in a VUCA environment. What does that mean? It means you have to innovate, adapt, and overcome. Benjamin Franklin was quoted as saying, "If you fail to plan, then plan to fail." I learned this well from my colleagues at the U.S. Army War College and even some time spent with the U.S. Navy recently. What is a VUCA environment and how do we succeed in an environment like this? Well, V is volatility. Expect the unexpected. Prepare for unexpected, and high reliability science can help you adapt to that environment. U, uncertainty. Change can happen fast. Be prepared for it. Always have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. C, complexity. Healthcare is complex. It's high risk and tightly coupled. Teamwork, as I mentioned before, and support when all known limitations are exceeded. Ask for help. Work together. A, ambiguity. Sometimes no precedents exist, which we call the unknown unknowns, right? So again, multiple contingency planning, and remember this, patients do not always read the textbooks. If nothing else, COVID-19 has reminded us all of this quite painfully. Now the life advice. You're all type A overachievers, I get it. Yes, that helped you get where you are now. But remember, the race never ends. So be mindful to balance life and career work, especially now as you start your careers as attending physicians post-residency training. Many of us, myself included, have passed on recreational fun, time with friends or family to support work and career growth. But don't keep pushing these things off for tomorrow. For as it has been quoted, if you pile up enough tomorrows, you'll find you're left with nothing but a lot of empty yesterdays. Work-life balance and prioritization is critical for long-term happiness and fulfillment. Prioritize all you have to do, and remember what Jim Collins said in Good to Great. If you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. The key is time management. So learn to prioritize, and it's okay to say no sometimes to things that don't align in your immediate priority index. Wherever you are, make sure you are truly there. Shut down distractions, focus on the moment, and enjoy that moment. Cell phones, tablets, there's a constant barrage of information, much of which can wait, some of which is actually meaningless. Weed that out. Save time for creativity and imagination. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all that we know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there will ever be to know and understand." So save time for being creative and imagining. Think it's silly? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk all hold time away from all distractions to simply focus on creativity and what could be rather than there is already. In conclusion, embrace and reflect back on all that you've learned in the past and be ready to build upon that platform and embrace your journeys to become our next generation of physicians, our future healers. Continue to learn, and while amassing great knowledge and advancing your careers are important, I implore you to embrace these pearls I have shared with you today. Don't be a cowgirl or a cowboy. Work in collaborative teams. Embrace humanity and truly care for your patients. Don't second-guess your career. Commit to it, but be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Learn how to not only survive, but thrive in a VUCA healthcare space. Balance work with life. Prioritize, and it's okay to say no. Be truly present wherever you are and eliminate distractions and manage your time effectively. Continue to learn, but save time to imagine as well, and then imagine the future and then help create it. You know, the Blue Angels motto is, "The sky is not the limit." So watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. And watch your character, for it will become your destiny. Thank you again, and congratulations to the entire graduating Good Samaritan residency class of 2020.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Drs. Bruce McLaughlin and John Kannengieser to present the Podiatry class of 2020. Since its inception, the Podiatric Medicine and Surgery Residency Training Program with reconstructive rear foot and ankle surgery has continued to develop, mature, and flourish to support the training of future podiatric physicians. The Podiatric MET program is certainly an example of quality graduate medical education, maintaining a high bar for training and lifelong education for its graduates. A quality program, however, is not attributed solely to its leadership, but encompasses all who take part in and support the educational experiences, especially the dedicated faculty, departmental leadership, and of course, the amazing trainees within the program. So without further comments, I would ask Drs. McLaughlin and Kannengieser to present the Podiatric Medicine and Surgery graduates of 2020.
Thanks, Kathy. Thank you for your leadership and guidance through a very difficult and tumultuous year. You really were the glue that kept things together through both the pandemic crisis and our CPME site visit back in November. And thanks to our new program coordinator, Samaritan, for tolerating my anxious moments as we navigated through our on-site visit, and for ensuring all of our data were available and complete. Also for making the sometimes counterintuitive New Innovations website look so simple. Now on to our graduates. This group was not bland. They did not lack for character, definition, or occasionally notoriety. Each one added their own personal ingredients to the mixture of our program and to its legacy. So it's been rewarding watching them evolve into the great group that they are today, and I have no doubt that years from now I'll look back and think fondly and say, yeah, that group was special. The first resident is John Randazzo. I spent some time over the last 3 years doing some reading, and I'd like to share with you 3 slightly altered book titles very special to me. The first, with apologies to the author Daniel Defoe, is John Robinson Crusoe Randazzo. There have been times during John's academic career where I sometimes thought he lived on his own island in the sea of residency. But what I learned over the years was that John was often engrossed in thoughts of innovation, creativity, and invention. He loved to think outside the box. It wasn't unusual for him to say, can we try, or what if, or suppose, a definite thinker. So he and I have had many great conversations ignited by his inquisitive attitude and contagious curiosity. He really made me think. We also know that Robinson Crusoe managed to survive, but to prevail, and prevail John did, including recovery from a broken ankle. But no, John, you can't log that case as a first assist. Somehow, I won't be surprised if at some point in the future John's name is mentioned with a new inventive surgical piece of equipment or technique. Whatever the occasional challenges John may have had with some administrative duties, he easily made up for with compassion and empathy, a sort of gentle giant, if you will. He is affable, easygoing, and engaging, especially with his patients. Now, an engaging personality is defined as someone who has something interesting to say, which holds other people's attention. They appear sincere, with a genuine curiosity, interest, warmth, understanding in, and empathy with the people with whom they are interacting. That fits John to a T when describing him with his patients. So many of us go on our hospital rounds and had patients ask, how's Dr. John doing? Where is Dr. Randazzo today? I really like that tall doctor with the beard. And John, I'm sure these attributes will be at the heart of your successful and prosperous career. John and his fiancée, Sarah, had planned to get married in August, although those plans may have been postponed. John will be joining a busy practice here in Suffolk County, and we all hope that he finds time to contribute to our program. John?
Hello, everyone. I'm especially happy to be here today. I'd like to first thank Dr. Bruce McLaughlin and Dr. John Kannengieser. They've always been in my corner and they helped to get me to here today. I'd like to say about Dr. Bruce McLaughlin, he's always been a role model for me. He showed me how to be a good doctor, how to be good with patients, and how to be a good man. Secondly, I'd like to say the last few months have been very rough. We dealt with the pandemic. And I'd like to thank both my two co-residents, Maria Cifone and Michael Mazer, and our other 6 co-residents for helping us get through this time. It was not easy, but we prevailed, and I think we're better for it. Thank you.
Our next resident is Dr. Mike Mazer. And now let me share the title of my second book with deference to Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Mikes. When Mike first started, he was the gymnast from Penn State, appearing very self-assured, very self-assertive, and very smart, but sometimes a little difficult to figure out. There was no holding back with Mike. If he asked you a question but didn't agree with your answer, he let you know without saying a word. That sudden head tilt, that deafening silence, or that all too familiar, One quick story. Early on, Mike was on orthopedics rotation. In the middle of a difficult case, word has it that Mike stepped back, turned toward the surgeon and said, "Don't worry, I've got this." He always speaks his mind, no equivocation. He can't help himself but to be straightforward and candid. But when you have the opportunity to spend some time with him, you realize that he is also sincere, driven to succeed and learn, and show a team-oriented attitude. Speaking of team-oriented, Mike organized and initiated a popular fantasy football league for the residents and attendings in our program. So fast forward to the second half of his third year. Here's the other Mike. I'm not sure if it was my perception or his maturation, but he's definitely mellowed. He's easier to read and much more responsive. Instead of coasting, as some understandably do, Mike found another gear and kicked it into overdrive. He was on top of all his responsibilities and came on strong. Mike also took it upon himself to write a second research paper with no prodding. Mike's been a great mentor to students and junior residents and has consistently made himself available to help out anyway during the crisis. And if I may read several comments from his latest evaluation: great strides, driven to succeed, great mentor, constant push to improve, great surgical skills. Mike has accepted a position with a large group in Nassau County, which also happens to include another graduate from our program. I'm making Mike promise to come back and lecture to us on a regular basis. Mike?
I would like to thank everyone who has helped make this day a reality. Residency has truly been a memorable experience for me. As I reflect on the past 3 years, I'm amazed by all the growth I have undergone, not just professionally, but personally. I'll never forget my time at Good Sam. The countless memories, the friendships made, the lessons learned. They say that you are a product of your training, and I could not agree with that more. I'm excited to take on the challenges that await me, but I know that wherever I go, that Good Sam will always remain a part of me. Thank you.
So now on to our third resident, Dr. Maria Cifone. So if I may rephrase Sir Thomas More's classic book title, Maria was a resident for all seasons. Where do I start? Maria first came to our program unbeknownst to any of us in the midst of trying to finish her master's degree in biochemistry. So right from the get-go, she showed great determination and grit. She rose to become chief resident and performed perfectly under difficult circumstances, sometimes changing resident schedules several times a week in order to accommodate the ever-changing needs of our hospital, and sometimes filling in the gaps willingly with her own free time. Some of her noteworthy accomplishments include spearheading and organizing our first participation and case submission to the annual New York Clinical Conference Complications Seminar, and should have won first prize in my opinion. Chairing the House Staff Council this past year, becoming the first resident in our program's history to be chosen to participate in the surgical mission trip to Honduras. And, oh yeah, she planned her wedding and married her husband, Paul, last year. Believe it or not, all these accomplishments do her little justice, because to know Maria, you understand her personality strengths outshine them all. She is candid yet diplomatic. She is confident yet humble. She is demanding yet understanding. She is remarkably thorough in all her undertakings. She is constantly pushing herself to improve and won't accept mediocrity. Let me just share some comments from her most recent evaluations. Ambitious, eager to achieve, great ambassador of the program, well organized, functions exceptionally well as a leader, ready to contribute in difficult times, commanded the respect of her peers and attendings and alike, and in sum, my favorite, no weaknesses. You get the idea. Because of her strong desire faculty, Maria turned down a fellowship offer and accepted a position in our practice. I'm particularly delighted to know that Maria will be staying on and actively involved in our program, but as faculty and not as a resident. I'll be proud to call her my colleague, and I know she'll prove this saying to be true. It is the greatest achievement of a teacher to enable his students to surpass him. Maria?
Thank you, Dr. McLaughlin, for that beautiful speech. I will say that we are all creatures of our own environment, and the minute I walked into Good Samaritan Hospital, it felt like home. So I want to thank all the faculty and mentors that I've had along the way. They've really helped me grow and become the person that I am today. But also I have to thank my family, my mother and my 2 sisters, and my husband, Paul, for encouraging me and pushing me to be the best that I am. Thank you.
And lastly, to acknowledge this whole group, my final reading, again from Charles Dickens, great expectations from all of you.
So residency training is difficult. Leadership for residency training is difficult. That's on a routine type of a year. But when we're hit, as we were in 2020 with the pandemic, it really hit all of us to the core. The residents, the faculty, program directors, associate program directors, and our whole GME office as the DIO. We were sending our residents into what we believed was a war zone. It looked like a war zone, and it was. I will tell you that our residents never faltered. The podiatry residents who no longer could participate in outpatient rotations that would provide them with training for podiatry, no longer be in the OR because elective cases were canceled, all came to ask, what could we do? How could we help? What could we support? We want to be here. We want to be working beside all of our colleagues. I could not be any more proud of the trainees that we have in this hospital. Each and every one of them have worked with professionalism, with honor, and with true respect that should be garnished as professionals. For our podiatry residents and the leadership before them, I have put together a certificate of appreciation from myself and from the administration here at Good Sam. This is a certificate of appreciation, in appreciation of your heroic efforts and teamwork in support of Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center and the patients served during the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. We would like to recognize the podiatry residents. Your devotion and commitment to serving the community will never be forgotten. You answered the call as an essential first responder and never wavered. On behalf of the leadership at Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center and the patients we serve, we thank you for all that you have done. This is signed by myself and Ruth Hennessy, the president of Good Samaritan Hospital. So thank you. The Attending of the Year Award is named in honor of Dr. Renato Giorgini, who is remembered as a true leader, innovator, and gentleman who dedicated his professional career as teacher and mentor to many physicians. He brought the practice of podiatry and podiatric surgery to Good Samaritan and led by example as the division chief of podiatry within the Department of Surgery. Dr. Giorgini lectured both in the United States and abroad and held many professional certifications and leadership positions within the specialty. He brought a new dimension of training to Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center when he brought to fruition the new podiatry training program. He was the consummate teacher and mentor to multiple graduates in having developed a quality and much sought-after 3-year podiatric medicine and surgery residency with reconstructive rear foot and ankle surgery. He was an amazing and dedicated teacher, physician, mentor, and friend, and his leadership and gentle ways are remembered as the podiatry residents present this year's Renato Giorgini Attending of the Year Award. So I'll call up the residents, please. And this again is an award that is presented to an attending by the residents.
Thank you, Dr. Cronia. This year's Attending of the Year Award goes to a physician who not only challenged us, but one who has filled our days with laughter, continued to fuel the passion we all share for our field, and one who took our education to the next level. He demonstrated the highest care and commitment to the program, ensuring the future success of all of us, his residents. Outside of Tuesday radiology rounds and Thursday academics, you can find him in various roles, encouraging the utmost professionalism of the residents in clinic, challenging our hands and knowledge as surgeons in the operating room, implementing the Socratic method to create independent thinkers of us young physicians, or even instilling words of wisdom while sharing some pizza or Taco Bell on a Friday afternoon between patients. He has been a strong mentor and steady role model, even while standing in the pouring rain at the Suffolk County Marathon for hours, and/or answering late-night phone calls to the sound of, "Hey, I have a consult in the ED." Amidst balancing his many other obligations, he has always had our back, listened to our concerns, and always proposed effective solutions to them as well. We are especially thankful for his time and dedication to the program and the residents. He has molded us into the young physicians that we stand here as today. Thank you for being a trailblazer, for keeping us on our toes, and continuing to light the way for us to be successful in our careers. Congratulations to the Attending of the Year, Dr. Kannengieser.
Thank you, guys. That was a wonderful speech, and I'm really humbled by this, and I appreciate all your hard work. And I had another speech prepared. I wasn't expecting this, but it kind of fits with what I'm going to be saying. But so as the Associate Residency Director, I don't usually get to speak at graduation, but due to the special circumstances surrounding this year, I felt it appropriate to personally acknowledge the graduating residents. Over the past 3 years, these graduates have routinely excelled in their roles. They have sought out new rotations, new seminars, and routinely expanded our program's role within other departments. They have excelled both academically with the amount of research they have completed, including a recent poster presentation at the Digital Mount Sinai Residency Research Day. While most residents would be focusing on studying for boards or working out their final details of post-residency work, the class of 2020 was thrust into the middle of a pandemic. Instead of taking a back seat, the senior residents routinely asked how they could help. By stepping up and working with the hospital of service treating COVID-19 patients, the residents both helped their community and further showed the strength of our residency program and the training that they have received while at Good Samaritan Hospital. I couldn't be more proud of these residents, and I'm happy to call them my colleagues. John, Mike, and Maria, thank you for making my role as the Associate Director that much easier.
So we talked all night about the rest of our lives, where we're gonna be when we turn 25. I keep thinking times will never change. Keep on thinking things will always be the same. But when we leave this year, we won't be coming back. No more hanging out, cause we're on a different track. And if you got something that you need to say, you better.
Congratulations, guys.
You don't have another day, cause we're moving on and we can't slow down. These memories are playing like a film without sound, and I keep thinking of that night in June.
Mike, Maria, and John, good luck at the residency with everything. I'm sure you guys will be great. Appreciate all the help and comfortable working environment you guys created for me for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thinking life's not fair, and this is how it feels. As we go on.
Maria, Mike, John, thank you guys for everything. Thank you for leading the way. It's not going to be the same without you guys next year, and I wish all the best.
Our lives change from whatever.
Congrats, Mike, Maria, and John. Good luck on everything, and thank you for all your help during our first year. It definitely made it 100 times better. We'll miss you.
Congrats, Mike, Maria, and John. Thanks for everything. Thanks for a great intern year. And good luck on your future endeavors.
Funny, we will still remember everything we learned in school. Still be trying to break every single.
Maria, John, thanks for all your help past year. It's truly a pleasure working with you guys. I'm sure you guys will do great. Once you're out there, you'll make great professional doctors. Thanks.
And this is how it feels. As we go
Hi guys, it's Ellen. Can you see me? Congratulations. You guys did such a great job. We're gonna miss you so much, and you have your whole life ahead of you. Yay, you did it. We'll see you soon. You guys rock. We love you here. Make sure you come visit and become big famous doctors.
Hi Maria, John, and Mike. Congratulations on your upcoming graduation. It's been a pleasure. It's been a wonderful three years. You guys have worked so hard, and we wish you only the best, and hopefully our paths will cross again.
Hi Maria, John, and Mike. I
I'm so happy for you guys. It's been a pleasure working with you for the past 3 years, and I'm so proud of all of you. Congratulations, and don't hesitate to reach out to me in the future. Take care.
Think about tomorrow like we think about now. Can we survive it out there? Can we make it somehow? I guess I thought that this would never end, and suddenly it's like the women and men